Welcome back to another episode, and I hope everyone's well. And yes, we're back to doing scout reports, and today we've got one of the most beautiful profiles in football. A lot of managers are looking out for this sort of profile, but an 18-year-old that has burst on the scene. That is Ajax defender Jorrel Hato. But today we're going to be looking at the profile of the player, his technical qualities in and out of possession. So if you don't mind, please drop a like, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on another episode. So who is Jorrel Hato? Well, he's one of the most fascinating players you'll come across because although he's a defender, he moves like he's a winger. He's 18-year-old and already racked up 79 appearances for Ajax first team. 51% of those as a left back, 49% of those as a centre-back. So that just tells you what sort of versatility he brings. When watching Jorrel Hato, you can tell he's been educated out the Ajax Academy. He's a technically brilliant defender, not just that brilliant ball-playing defender, but he's got defensive intelligence to complement his on-ball ability. In simplistic terms, he's almost always deployed on the left-hand side of the pitch, either slotting in at left-back or at left centre-back. Now, because of the quality he brings, he's a perfect candidate for a team that plays with inverted fullbacks, overlapping centre-backs, or even centre-backs that like to push into midfield. Now, as you can see from the heat map on the screen, Hato dominates the left side of the pitch. He spends just as much time in the attacking third as he does the defensive third, and that just highlights his qualities in offensive transitions. Not only can he be a conductor from deep, but he can also be a creative outlet in advanced areas. Let's begin with his ability in possession. And as you can see from the stat on the screen, Jorrel Hato takes a lot of touches per 90. In fact, he was the third most touches out of any player in the Eredivisie last season. Best thing about it, he made the most touches in the middle third than any other player in the Eredivisie last season. As you can see from the statistics, he excels with the ball at his feet. He's sitting in the top 6% out for dribbles per 90, sits in the top 20% out for passes received, passes per 90, and accurate passes per 90. Hato oozes style and class on the ball. In an era where defenders need to be press resistant, Jorrel Hato certainly is. He's extremely composed and measured in possession. He relishes every opportunity to move the ball forward, to progress the play forward. He's extremely sensible in doing so. He never forces a ball, but he waits for an opening. So it's no mystery to see him fit in a team like Ajax because he's an excellent all-round passer and progressor of the ball. He's sitting in the top 94% now for dribbles per 90. He's extremely difficult to stop once he gets his head up and sees space to roam into. Jorrel Hato stands at 6 foot. You might not think that's big for a defender, but he's got a wide shoulder span and this aids him in his dribbling. He's an excellent ball carrier and he's got a low centre of gravity and he's got wonderful agility. You wouldn't expect him to move the way he does as a dribbler for a defender. He's got quick feet, close control, and that allows him to be a lethal dribbler in tight spaces. But because of his high football IQ, as he's dribbling up the pitch, you can see his eyes actively scanning for teammates moving between the lines. His objective when he's dribbling is to naturally draw the opposition out of their position, and this just frees up room for teammates to exploit, and he's actively looking to find them in feet or move the ball into space. He's got a strong willingness to engage opponents through his dribbling, setting up high quality attacks and opportunities elsewhere. This gives you an idea of the sense of purpose in his game. He's always looking to break down the opposition. He's got exceptional awareness, which shown both in his attacks and in transitions. What I love about Jorrel Hato is his technical ability. He's always prepared to play. He wants to keep the ball moving and break down the opposition. He's a very good understanding of his options. He's constantly making the right decision, when to dribble, when to move the ball forward. And that allows him to be trusted in transition moments, and he can routinely play the first pass forward after a recovery. Jorrel Hato is a high-skilled and technically gifted footballer, but perhaps what's most fitting in his description of his attacking contribution is his understanding on how to break down the opposition press. And that's shown in these statistics. He's sitting in the top 1% out for through balls per 90, the top 2% out for shot creating actions and goal creating actions across all defenders in Europe. But then if we dig a little bit deeper, he's sitting in the top 20% out for progressive passes, top 10% out for key passes, passes into the final third, and passes into the penalty area. I know I've already mentioned it, but I want to highlight it further. Hato's ability to carry the ball is so impressive. His quick feet and coolness under pressure means only one other player has more progressive carrying distance than him in the Eredivisie this season. His ability to drive his team forward from deep is exceptional, and it's a huge asset in transition moments. He's technically sublime and possesses a high football IQ that defines his tender years. The Dutch defender is incredibly incisive in finding teammates in advanced areas or even in the final third, and his composure under pressure makes him an ideal candidate for teams that like to play out from the back. Quick thinking in high pressured situations, Hato nicely assesses when to play against the pressure and when to break through the gaps. When dribbling, he's got the composure, the athleticism, and the acceleration to burst past opponents, but he's also quite strong as well, despite his size. I would like to emphasize his comfort with being the foundation of attacks from deeper areas. He receives a lot of passes per game. In fact, he's sitting in the top 1% out for progressive passes received, and this is extremely rare in a young defender, so you can see that his starting position is quite high. Hato is a recycler in the first phase, but when it comes to breaking through the lines and progressing forward, that usually happens when he's higher up the pitch, either in the middle phase or, dare I say, in the final phase. He tallies up 9.9 progressive passes per 90, and that's good enough to put him in the top 6 percentile across defenders in Europe. And this is probably why he's such a weapon in transitions and a creative tool. And this explains why his goal contribution numbers for a 2023-24 season were so high, especially for a centre-back. But what sets Hato apart is his ability to single-handedly transition or create from deep, and most passes come off the end of a dribble. So he's got the ability to evade pressure, beat multiple opponents, and then single-handedly create a chance by moving the ball into space. The fact that he's doing this at just 18 years old is incredibly exciting. Given the biggest compliment, one thing that is consistent is his distribution. Long passes, medium range passes, or through balls. So good at assessing the movement of his teammates, and this is what makes him a top quality defender in possession. Now let's talk about his defensive style. Jorrel Hato is an impressive defender in his own right. Considering he's only 18 years old, he's been excelling and he's shown an incredibly high ceiling. As you can see from the image above, there's a lot of high regains. That just highlights his defensive style. He's a front-footed, aggressive defender. Hato is most definitely a proactive defender who likes to step out of defense, press his opposition, but he's also very good at tracking his opposition. Now, his best qualities when defending is he's extremely athletic, he's deceivingly quick in acceleration, and he's got a sharp change of direction, aiding his low centre of gravity. This allows him to be combative with opponents, with sense of good anticipation, and he does have a good sense of timing. So when you combine these together, the willingness to step out of defence, his anticipation, his timing, this can be exceptional for high turnovers, but when it goes wrong, it is a risk, because if those aren't aligned, that's when it can be overturned and turned easily. He typically likes to get touch tight so he can unsettle opponents, ensuring that they can't turn freely or create any separation. In doing so, this impedes their momentum in attack, but it also impedes their individual momentum. I mentioned earlier that he's got a high football IQ, and this helps him when reading the game. He often recognises where the opposition's attack is going to go next. This allows him to burst from standstill positions and time his interceptions. Because he's so adventurous in attacking transitions, Hato's often the one tracking back, looking for ball recoveries or facing wingers in isolated situations. This means he's often in a situation where he needs to make a tackle from behind due to his initial positioning in the attacking phase. But from the outside looking in, this just highlights his willingness to work hard for the team. Now, because of his good attributes, his athleticism, his deceivingly quick, his strong agility, and his ability to play left back, he's good in wider channels. So when he is isolated, he can combine those attributes to keep pace with a pacey winger. Now, where he does need to improve in that aspect is his body positioning and concentration. Because he is aggressive and wants to win the ball back early, he's often found himself too square on. Against tricky wingers in the Premier League, this can be problematic. But his astute awareness of when to step out in the opposition or when to get touch tight, or either when to intercept a pass or handle a one-on-one situation, also speaks volumes for his tactical intelligence. His footwork across the grass allows him to recover quickly. As you can see from his moments, he often wins possession high up pitch. This allows Ajax to counter-attack. Hato certainly has the pace and power to make it difficult for opponents to bypass him in transitions. I think within time and with experience, he'll utilise into a less aggressive defender. The one thing I will give Jorrel Hato credit for is no defender completed more in-box defensive actions than Jorrel Hato in the Eredivisie last season. That just highlights his willingness to put his body on the line, but more impressively, his ability to read exactly what the opposition or the attacker is going to do. Because of his ability to play both left back and left centre back, Jorrel Hato is perfect for an inverted wing-back role, because he can be the inverter because he's comfortable with the ball at his feet. He's extremely progressive in his play, but he can also be the one that covers as that third centre-back because he's got the attributes to be a defender. Were to transition into the Premier League, the two things that he will need to improve on, he's not fully developed yet, so I would like to see him adding more muscle, not so much that he loses any ability and agility. And secondly, he's not very good in aerial duels. He leaps well, he's got a big leap on him, but he needs to improve his overall quality. And in fact, he said this himself. He said he often finds the wrong colour with his headers, meaning he often finds the opposition. So he just needs to be more composed when he's going out for aerial duels. But I've got no doubt in my mind that Jorrel Hato has the potential to become one of the best defenders in the world. And I've got no doubt in my mind that every single club would sign him. So it's going to be interesting where he ends up, but it's fascinating. I hope it's Chelsea. But guys, that's the end of the episode. And if you've enjoyed this, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And until next time, thank you very much.